A trend that's becoming more and more common in One Piece is that characters are getting bigger. Now, Oda has always had a tendency to make villains abnormally big, since it paints the image of an underdog taking on the big bad. But over time, we've progressed from Luffy taking on enemies who are extremely tall by real-world standards, to enemies that would tower over everyone in the real world, to enemies that are literally the height of giraffes. But it's not just character sizes. So much about the One Piece world is over the top. The red line is so tall that you can't see the summit. There are trees so massive that their roots travel all the way to the ocean floor. There are ships the size of islands, creatures the size of those ships, people's weapons, people's fashion choices, even the food people eat is all blown out of proportion. What is going on with the One Piece universe? Well, everything is exaggerated. Why does Oda choose to do this, and why does it work? Well, One Piece is built on the idea of romance, specifically the classical meaning of romance, as in an idealized view of reality. The very beginning of the series is the dawn of romance, as our hero sets out for the grand line to have the grandest, most unbelievably over-the-top adventure possible. It's a story about chasing impossible dreams, and as such the story itself is dreamlike. The important thing to remember is that realism does not matter. One Piece aims to capture the essence of a legend, and so something as simple as baking a cake may be exaggerated to the point that the cake is so impossibly delicious it can take you straight to heaven, so fluffy that it nearly floats away, with sauce so silky it nearly jumps out of the bowl. It is meant to be unrealistic, fantastical, a world of infinite possibilities where reality is stretched. This exaggerated nature of One Piece distinguishes it from any other epic story out there. It's a world of extremes. Characters are written with exaggerated reactions and exaggerated quirks, which in turn make for very distinct and memorable identities. Senor Pink isn't just manly. He's so manly that he brushes his teeth with a shoe brush. Boa Hancock looks down on others so much that she ends up looking up. The world is more vibrant when every other page we're being introduced to some new over-the-top character. Not to mention that there's an inherent wow factor that comes along with exaggerating everything. In this world we can hear about unbelievable duels that go on for 5 days, even for 10 days, literally changing the weather of an entire island. It's like reading about some outlandish tall tale, but in this universe, all the tall tales are real. Now going back to the initial trend I brought up, why are so many characters huge? Well, for one, it's just fun to explore a world where so many people have exaggerated sizes and features and body types. They're overly ugly people, overly fat people, strangely shaped people, and so on. But beyond that, when a new character shows up, what's a simple way to make them stand out? Well, you make them big. It's a constant reminder that this character is important. The fact that they're bigger than everyone else draws our attention to them. Now, of course, bigger doesn't always mean stronger, since lots of times Oda likes to include huge characters specifically for the fun of having the tiny Luffy easily stomp them. Similarly, a normal-sized character like Dragon can still be one of the strongest individuals in the world. It's just a general trend that Oda has been using, where when it comes to serious enemies, Oda has very deliberately been raising the height of Luffy's opponents to visually scale up with the increasing level of threat. Now that our brave little hero has entered the new world, things have just been getting bigger and bigger from here. Characters like Doflamingo, who are already freakishly tall, scale up to impossibly tall villains like Katakuri. These drastic increases make us feel like each new threat is bigger, badder, more imposing than ever before. The scene where the crew is escaping from the Big Mom pirates really feels like our little gang of heroes has ended up far out of their depth in the land of towering monsters, and now they're running just to survive. And to that point, the Yonkou, Big Mom, and Kaido are on a different level entirely. These villains are ancient legends with fittingly epic proportions. The image of Kaido standing in front of 3 supernovas is so powerful because his sheer size and presence absolutely dwarfs everyone else. The supernovas seem like nothing more than ants in front of this force of nature, and right away everything we read in Kaido's text box below carries so much more weight. It applies to the good guys too. Think back to how incredibly imposing Whitebeard was, how much presence he seemed to command in every panel just from his stature. Even for characters that are normally not meant to be huge, Oda freely plays with character proportions so that he can create more striking images. One of my favorite panels in the series is the Shichibukai assembled at the start of the war. Now Mihawk and Hancock aren't even 7 feet tall, but here they seem to be twice the size of this marine. That's because realism does not matter. The visual exaggeration makes these figures pop off the screen, making them appear like demigods compared to the common man. In fact, on first glance, you probably don't even notice the nameless marines surrounding them because your eyes are drawn solely to these 5 warlords. In any other series, this would just be an assembly of characters that we know are strong and important. But in the stylized world of One Piece, Oda exaggerates his art to add a visual exclamation point to these characters' importance. Now, I know I've talked about a million different things, but to sum up, Oda uses exaggeration in his art style and writing choices to effectively create a world of romance, the ideal upon which the entire story of One Piece revolves around. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, share, and subscribe.